everybody, and welcome to another episode of The Imaginary Boys. I am one of the two hosts, Mr. Habanero, and I have returned with me after such an incredibly long break of no recording for approximately 2 or 3 weeks, Mr. Lettuce. How are you doing, Mr. Lettuce?
Pretty good, pretty good.
Yeah, man.
I see you've hoarded yourself out, and you were cheating on me with Cinder Shadow.
I don't know what you're talking about.
Come on, let me smell your dick.
No, my dick is away right now. You can't. It's not here. You can't smell it, and I don't know what you're talking about. Even if my dick was here, I don't know what you're talking about.
All right, that's how you want to play it.
I don't. There's nothing to play because I don't know. I don't know what you're talking about because there's nothing to play at. Therefore,
So you're trying to tell me here that you didn't record a whole ass podcast with some other woman.
I don't know what you're talking about.
Okay.
Yeah.
I guess you play dumb.
Well, I mean, I couldn't have possibly have done that because it's not like as if I, have a basement that I keep locked up at all times. It's always dank and dark. And if I did have a basement like that, which I definitely do not, I wouldn't, hold somebody hostage in it by the name of Cinder Shadow against his will. Because that's not something I would ever do because I don't have a basement and I don't have Cinder Shadow locked in my basement and I would never record a podcast without you. So clearly, I have no idea what you're talking about.
I see how it is. I know about all your side bitches.
I'm gonna crack open a beer and I'm gonna start drinking and I'm gonna just pretend that you still trust me and that there's nothing going on. So I don't know what you're. I don't know. What you're
if you want me to trust you, you got to let me smell your dick.
My dick is not here. It's on vacation. It's
so you're trying to say that your dick is Mr. Mime and it's on vacation with Ash's mom?
Uh-huh. Wait. Yeah, yes. Yeah, yes. Wait. No, because no. I plead the fifth.
Oh, how I've missed this.
Hey man, how you doing?
Not really all that angry that you cheated on me. You guys did a pretty good job. It was very entertaining.
Yeah? That's good, man. I mean, I don't know what you're talking about, but whatever it is that you could be talking about, I'm glad you enjoyed it in the way that you did. How have you been since I last saw you, man? How have you been doing?
Here, I've worked a little bit.
That's good. Did you get
I sold my house.
Okay.
Actually, that just happened today.
Right.
Just sold my house.
That was a fast sale. Got rid of that thing quick.
I don't know how familiar you are with urban expansion in Middle Tennessee.
Mm-hmm. I'm not particularly familiar with it. It's just that when my parents moved away, it took them a very long time to sell their actual house. So,
okay. Well, the city I live in is about 90 miles east of Nashville.
Okay.
Or the city I used to live in. It's about 90 miles east of Nashville. It is quickly becoming a suburb of Nashville.
Okay. So it's rising in value and demand.
Yeah, well, there's nowhere else to live within. There's like literally nowhere else to live within a 45-mile radius of Nashville.
Gotcha. Okay. just a better housing market over there, I guess, due
Yeah,
to
so
location and demand.
I'm 90 miles away from Nashville, is basically the outer suburb ring where the middle to upper middle class are starting to move.
Gotcha, gotcha. Well, that's good.
So
Are you getting all nice and comfy?
yeah, I spent the past weekend um, moving.
Mm-hmm.
I pretty much abandoned all the things
Okay.
except for a select few things that I knew I was going to need and was been a bitch and a half to replace.
Gotcha, gotcha.
Um, Unlike me, apparently I'm easy to replace. Or
I mean, I don't know. I don't know what you're talking about. Anyways, uh,
uh, and so I've just been basically sitting here, uh,
yeah.
spending all weekend building furniture, catching deliveries, just doing all different sorts of things. Um, but yeah, no, the new place is nice.
Okay, that's cool.
The the fiance it might be enjoying herself.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
You're not
she
sure though. You're not sure though.
uh, I mean, uh, it got rough there for a little bit.
Oh, okay. It's all good. You don't have to go into too much detail.
She's got anxiety issues, and her house doesn't have the benefit of being in a burgeoning neighborhood.
Mm.
Uh, but it is actually slated to close on Friday. But it looked for a while there like we would end up having to be paying rent at or paying her mortgage for at least like a month or two.
Oh, that's lame.
Yeah, but nope, she sells her house on Friday.
That's good. That's good. That's good, man.
We'll both be condensed into this one, admittedly not that small, but you're going from 2 to 3,000 square foot houses
Mm-hmm.
into a 1,200 square foot apartment.
Okay. Nice.
Concessions have been made. However,
Sometimes it be
I
like
think
that, though.
I think we got the thing all that's I think we got all of our essentials in, and I think we've got a good layout so that it just doesn't look like things are stacked on each other because there's no space.
Mm-hmm.
That's one of the things like you end up running into is um, when you downsize like this, you end up with things kind of stacked on top of each other that just is like, oh yeah, you guys have no space.
Right. Right.
Um, so we've avoided that pitfall. Had to sleep on an air mattress for a couple of days.
Sounds great, man.
No, no, when you're over 40 and fat as
Bruh.
no, an air mattress an air mattress is definitely not where it's at.
Right.
Like no, I agree with you. Like 20-year-old me would be like, yeah,
Bruh.
let's do it. Air mattress. Like 20-year-old me would like unironically just buy an air mattress as a permanent bed.
I mean, for the first what was it, like year and a half in my current apartment, I slept on a freaking foam pad on the floor in my living room. Like,
It'd be
legitimately.
it do be like that though. Like I mean, uh, my bed was a king mattress laying on the floor.
Mm. I even remember, like, because I love my bed. I sleep on like on a queen, like on a really a pillow top queen, and I was like traumatized into buying my mattress, dude. Have I ever told you the story of being traumatized into buying my bed that I sleep on now that I adore? Have I ever
No,
told you?
no, you haven't told me about that.
Okay, so I was living in my apartment for about a year or so, and like basically like my apartment is very well furnished now. Like I have so much goddamn furniture in here. But there was a period of time where I basically had absolutely nothing in the apartment, and I slept on a foam pad on the floor in my living room. And I even still have some old photos of when I used to live that way. And what happened was, during that first year that I lived in my apartment, I went to Boston. I was going to visit my sister, and I was with my whole family. That I had my father and my stepmother, and so we were hanging out in Boston, having a good time. And I was with my sister and her friends, and they took us all out to dinner. And I was literally just like, sitting at this really fancy, like nice restaurant with my sister and her friends and my parents. And like my sister and her friends were telling stories, and they were like, "Oh, so like did you this is literally what happened was this my sister's friend was telling my sister a story, and she's like, "Oh yeah, did I tell you about like what happened to blah 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 when she went on that date?" And my sister was like, "No, what ended up happening?" And she's like, "Oh, well, she was on that date with that guy, and like he seemed like a really good guy, and he took her back to his place, and they were gonna like get it on, but he slept on a mattress on the floor, like in his room with like no furniture. It was just a mattress on the it wasn't even a mattress, it was like a pad of bed on the floor." And like I was like sweating, I was like listening and like nervously sweating. And my sister was just like, "Well, like, what happened? She probably left, right?" And she's like, "Absolutely, she left. Are you kidding me? Can you imagine going on a date with a guy and then going back to his place when you think it's all good, and then you realize that you're going to have to like sleep with him on the floor? How awful is that? It's disgusting." And my sister was just like, "Yeah, I can't even imagine what guy what guy would ever just try to date any woman ever, like with a mattress on the floor?" And I'm just like sitting there like quietly like nervously sweating the whole time. And like my sister and her friends kind of like look over at me a little bit, and I was like, "Yeah, that's weird, right? Who the hell does that? That's so not cool." I'm just like, in my brain I'm like, "Okay, when I get home, first thing I gotta do is I gotta go shopping for a bed, man. I swear to God. What do I do?" And so that's when I was like traumatized into buying a bed. And literally like less than a month later after that trip, I went out and bought a bed, man.
Man, way to get peer pressured into wasting like a couple $100.
It was like I remember because I think oh man, how much did I pay for that mattress? I don't even remember. So I remember that like my dad was super nice and he bought it for me. And then I ended up like paying him back like a month or two later or something like that. I think it was like I paid him like $500, $600 or something like that. I have a really nice bed. But
So a little bit of rudely advice from creepy Uncle Lettuce.
uh-huh.
Don't be afraid to splurge on your bed.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
Like
Cuz
spend that money.
yeah, I don't remember the exact price, but I spent a pretty good amount. Like I remember I had to like work for a month or two to pay it off, but um
You spend an unreal amount of time on that bed.
yeah. Um yeah, remember guys, don't sleep on a mattress on the floor. Women will think you're gross.
Yeah. No no girl will touch your pee pee if your mattress is on the floor.
Yeah, I had to I had to learn that in that way. Oh man. Well, it was funny too because like during that time before I even went out, I definitely dated some women. Definitely also had a few of them come over. None of them ever stayed the night. So there you go. But
Fun
yeah.
fact:
Mm-hmm.
I get laid all the time with my mattress. I was getting laid all the time with my mattress on the floor.
Mm. Drinking more alcohol makes me feel better.
I have a moderate price bed, and we'll be getting laid constantly on it.
Cool. Cool, man. That's good talk.
Or at least for the next month, and then I get married, and then
And then no sex allowed ever again.
yeah, because apparently that's what married couples do.
Yeah. Yeah. I watched a porn that was like that once where they had like a whole explanation of like married couples never have sex and then the woman proceeds to like cheat on her husband. It was an interesting porn. I watch them for the stories, clearly.
Well, obviously, when you care more about the characters, you care more about the
Bruh.
That's true. I think that was a theme in one of our older episodes. I remember you distinctly you saying that before.
It's a line I use up a lot.
Yeah.
It's from one of the Dust Till Dawn movies.
Dude, it's actually funny that you said that now that I think about it because like I was watching an anime for a while, okay? And I've watched like 10 episodes of it, right? And the thing is that this anime that I've been watching is just practically a hentai. Like, but it's like they have tons and tons of sex scenes in it, but it's also incredibly way over censored, like to the point of where it's annoying. Where it's like you're literally looking like there are times where you're watching this anime and you're literally watching like a gray screen for like 5 minutes. The whole screen is just gray and you just hear like sound effects.
Man, that's a
And
lot of nipples.
it's I've watched this series for 10 episodes, right? And today, because the newest episode came out today. It's called like Harem in Another World Across the Dimension or something like that. It's some ridiculous name like that. And I've been watching it for like 10 episodes. And it took me 10 episodes to realize this anime is terrible. It's terrible, man. And I don't know why I had to watch 10 episodes of this to figure out that this anime is awful. It's like there's no plot and it's supposed to be like an action adventure fantasy and it has tons of sex in it, but you never get to see any of the sex. But they just show you like gray screens with like writing on it that says this image is not allowed to be shown. And then you hear like lots of sound effects. Like I literally like watched, like I actually skipped it because I was because I was mad. I skipped through a 3-minute long blowjob scene where the entire screen was grayed out. And it was just like, and then like the whole thing too is that they do these like scenes where the main character and his girlfriend go into like a dungeon and they fight monsters, but every battle is exactly the same and nothing really ever happens. So there's no plot. The characters are not very interesting. There's tons and tons of sex scenes, but you don't get to see any of it at all. And like the fight scenes are just the largest like goddamn snooze fest I've ever. They're so boring. And like it was when I got to that blowjob scene that was like 3 minutes long, and then I skipped it. I literally like it was the first time in a long time that I've like fast forwarded through an anime like that, especially during a sex scene. And I was just like, I paused it and I was like, why did it take me 10 episodes to realize that this anime is a total piece of shit? Like, I don't.
Because
And like,
you have a problem.
mm-hmm.
I have a problem. You have a problem. Me
Mm-hmm.
problem. Me problem is the consumption of alcohol. You problem is the consumption of anime.
I mean, I watch a bunch of good ones. Like, I mean, like I've been watching Overlord season 4, and it's a goddamn masterpiece. But
Sure.
um,
But then, like me, I'll drink something. You tell me it's alcoholic, I'll put it in front of me, I'll drink it. And then you put something else in front of me, and progressively it's getting worse and worse, but I don't care because it's alcoholic. So like if I get hard up enough, I'll drink mouthwash.
that's well, I mean,
Straight up. I said if I get hard up enough, I'll drink mouthwash. But what I'm saying here is like at some point you could basically put like poo water with like a drop of rubbing alcohol in it. Tell me it's alcoholic. I'll drink it. But then I'll be like, man, why does this taste like ass?
what's really funny is because like I was going to like be like I was basically for a moment there thinking to myself, I was like, I'm not that bad. Like, I don't watch anime that's so terrible that it's comparable to like, the consumption of mouthwash from an alcohol. And then I thought about it and I was just like, sometimes I go on YouTube and I watch terrible like terrible anime rom-com mini novellas that are like between 10 to 20 minutes long. And they're all terrible. They're always terrible. They're always absolutely god awful terrible. There's maybe out of at this point the hundreds that I've probably seen, there's probably like maybe two that were actually good. But they're so bad. And I was like thinking about it and I was like, oh my God, that's the mouthwash equivalent. Like the drinking of mouthwash equivalent of anime. Oh God, I have a problem.
Yeah.
Oh man.
I mean, sometimes I know what I'm talking about. It's very rare. It's rare, but sometimes I hit across sometimes I hit an actual real nerve.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm bound to drink mouthwash. I haven't done it in a while, but I'm bound to do it.
I really don't like mouthwash. I've tried to do it a few different times and I just
I like
usually stop.
I like spearminty stuff.
Mm. Mm. Yeah. But I even there's definitely like a couple of animes within the current seasonal release that I quit that they were so unbelievably terrible. Like this particular like are we in fall release right now or is it still summer release? I think this is technically fall release right now. There were a lot of stinkers. Like spring release and summer release, they banged it out of the park. Like almost every single anime released during spring season and summer season were absolute bangers. But fall has just been there's been a lot of bad ones and like one of them I watched like 3 episodes of and I was like this is just awful. Like I want to like scrape my eyes out with a spoon. It's so bad. So I stopped that one after 3 episodes. But this one took me 10 episodes. I had to watch 10 piece of shit episodes of this show to realize how terrible it was. And like what's really weird about it too is that I'm totally convinced that it's going to run for an extended season, which is basically like normally when a lot of animes like have like normal seasons, which is they're usually 1 to like 13 episodes. Like usually it's 12, sometimes it's 13, rarely it's 14. But if an anime has like a lot of money behind it or a lot of popularity or something like that, it'll go for what's called an extended season, which is like it can have like up to like 20 or 30 episodes, before it's over. And I've been watching this one, which I realized on episode 10 is terrible. And I'm also convinced that it's going to run for an extended season. And the reason why is because the show, when you watch the show, it has an opening, and the opening credit sequence. And the opening credit sequence always wants to show you that there's like 6 women. Like, they're like, okay, there's the main character, and then there's like 5 or 6 other women that are like ogling over the main character, right? And you're like, for a lot of like animes, what they do is they'll basically try to like, maybe they'll go the first couple of episodes, first 2 or 3 episodes with just like one girl character, which is like the main heroine. And then they'll kind of like drop each one after a few episodes of each other girl character. This show, which in the opening credit sequence has like 5 or 6 women total, has gone on for 10 episodes with only the main character and one girl. So like, and normally I'd be like, that's not so bad, because what they're trying to do probably is they're trying to like really establish these characters. Like, they really want you to grow attached to like the main character and the main heroine character. Okay, the show doesn't do that. It's like no real character development between this girl and this guy in the slightest. Like, they're just the most absolutely hollow characters I've ever seen for an anime of this sort. And it's gone on for 10 episodes. 10 episodes of nothing happening except sex and the same monster fights. And the sex isn't, you don't even get to see anything. Like, just make it a hentai. All you have to do is just make it an actual hentai and like take away all the gray screens, and then sure, fine. I'm sure it's a great hentai. Like, that's fine. But you don't even get that. You don't even get that.
Or label it a hentai and keep the gray screens in.
For what purpose at that point? You can't label it a hentai and not take away the gray screens.
No. You absolutely can. Like,
it's just the world's worst hentai.
No, it's not because, but it's a meta hentai. And the characters aren't bruh. The hentai is bruh.
Oh, that's pretty sneaky, sis. That's pretty sneaky.
Right. That's meta hentai.
No, there you go. But anyways, it's gone on for 10 episodes, and they haven't introduced any of the other ladies. And on top of that, nothing has actually happened in the show. So, like...
And yet you watch it.
I watched it for 10 episodes. I'm done. Like, after this 10th episode, I skipped a 3-minute blowjob scene. That was when I was like, I'm done with this show. I'm so done with it.
Well, you're not a big fan of blowjob scenes to begin.
Well, I mean, that's not true. I mean, I've watched some pornographies with some blowjobs, and some of them can be pretty good. But I mean, like
on numerous cases, you say you often skip the blowies to get to the pennies.
Well, sure, but I mean, also, like, if there's a particular pornography actress that I'm a big fan of, and it's like I watch like her full films. Like, I don't skip parts because I think that okay. So not only is she an extremely attractive pornography actress, but also if she, in my opinion, she could be a real actual movie actress if she wanted to, because that woman can act. She's like the only porn actress that I watch from beginning to end, and like she'll do like full stories. Like it's not just like, what are you doing, step bro? Help me get out of the dryer. Go grab the butter. Like she does like full blown, well thought out, like filmed scripts that's porn. And she's totally 100% convincing as the character that she's playing in every single one that she does. So like, and a lot of the like films that she does, I mean, there's always a blowjob, and sometimes there's even multiple blowjobs, and I will sit through them. I watched like 15 to like, 10 to 15. Like, usually the films, sometimes they're about like 30 minutes. Most of them are about like 20 minutes. And like 10 to like 15 minutes is usually the script, like the acting. And then the rest of, well, that's not true. I guess usually the maximum is usually 10 minutes of acting, and then the rest is pornography. But the point is that, uh like, I'll sit through that stuff because I like it and I think she's amazing. I mean, for the majority of other porn that I've watched, no, I won't sit through a blowjob, and usually I won't even sit through the acting either, but
Is
yeah.
the actress you refuse to name Chasey Lane?
No, no, it's not. I have her name in my head right now. I'm not going to say it though. um but yeah,
Wait a second. How is Tiffany Amber Thiessen related to Chasey Lane?
I don't know. It could be that they're related, but they just have like, those are just their actress names rather than their like real
No,
names or
no, no,
something.
no. Like, I was testing something on my network while you were going on about hentai,
All right.
and I was just
I'm glad that I
doing
can
a
keep your
search.
attention with my amazing stories.
I can multitask. I was participating,
Okay.
but
All
I
right.
was testing um network based safe search
Uh huh.
because I have two minor children in my net that are using my network now.
Right.
So, and one of them has access to her own devices.
Right. Right.
So so I was just testing my router's
Safe search.
like safe search implementation on Bing
Right.
and Google and
Right.
YouTube.
Right.
And I searched for Chasey Lane, and I saw no pornographic Chasey Lane links.
Right.
But there was a warning this search, you know, yada yada yada, safe search, remove certain links, whatever.
Right.
Which
Right.
was nice. But then when one of them were like related, Tiffany Amber Thiessen.
Huh.
I'm like, I'm like, I mean, I guess they kind of have this. Chasey and Tiffany Amber Thiessen have the same jawline, sort of.
Well, are they like, is it that like,
Not related as in familiar, related as in similar.
well, is it implying that they're related by blood, or is it implying that they're related based on like maybe people that they've married or something like that are related or something?
I think it was literally related as in they have the same jawline.
So like by blood is what you're implying.
No, no, no. By appearance,
Oh, okay.
they look similar
Hmm.
because Tiffany Amber Thiessen and Chasey Lane have similar jaw structure.
Okay. I mean, that's a lot less impressive than the idea of them actually being related by blood, but it's whatever.
I want to see a porn with Tiffany Amber Thiessen and Chasey Lane.
Is that like, did you bring them up because you like how they act? Because that's kind of like what we were talking about a little bit.
Well,
But
when you were like naming like an act like a pornographic actress who has real acting chops,
yeah.
the first thing I think of is Chasey Lane.
Hmm. Yeah, I mean, like,
But that might be a little too old school for you.
it's possible. I don't know. I mean, I don't really watch them, so like, I mean, Oh, I don't know if I would like want to like name off all my favorite porn actresses. I mean, it's probably not that big of a deal. What do you think? It's
I
probably
mean,
not.
like you were just talking about like how you like you just mentioned you just spent there talking about how you watched 10 minutes of the world's shittiest hentai.
It's true. Uh,
Just in the hopes of seeing a penis.
well, hey man, my rule when it comes to porn is I like to see it all. I like to see the nude women and the nude men. Like, I mean,
No,
I'm not insecure about my sexuality to the point of where
yeah,
it's like
but
no naked men allowed. Yeah.
yeah, no. But what I'm saying is like, did the Japanese cultural censors up and let a
Yeah.
dick slip,
So,
or heaven forbid, a naked nipple?
God forbid, dude. The children! Think of the children, Lettuce! Think of the children!
Because in a hentai, like in a quote unquote hentai, like they'll show a penis
Yeah.
long before they'll show a bare nipple.
Not true. Not true. In fact, actually, I've talked about this before. There's um, a genre of anime that I really enjoy, called booby anime. I mean, that's not what the genre is literally called, but that's what I call it. And the qualification for being a quote unquote booby anime is that the anime has to show nipples. That is the qualification for being a booby anime.
Right,
And there's a
but
fair
not
share of them.
right. And you know,
And they're not
uh,
henty. They're not henty. They're just booby
anime,
animes.
anime, anime studios, like as time progresses, anime studios have abandoned a lot of the more traditional Japanese societal norms.
Right.
One of the weird traditional Japanese societal norms is they're perfectly okay with a penis as long as it's not entering a vagina or a mouth.
Mm.
However, the second you see an exposed nipple, oh dear God.
Oh, you're talking about, okay, you're talking about like, are you talking about social norms for
Traditional
America?
Japanese, no, traditional Japanese, so, well, I don't know how traditional they are anymore, but it used to be
Well, it
like
just
you could see in Japan, you could see a penis. They would prefer the penis to not look very lifelike. And as long as it wasn't entering another
I
person,
I do know what you're talking about because I've
it didn't.
seen that kind of
It
stuff,
was
which is
it,
they
it,
throw
it
up. Go ahead. Go ahead. Sorry.
yeah. As long as it wasn't entering somebody, it wasn't pixelated. The second it entered somebody, it got pixelated all the back. But the second somebody exposes a bare nipple, pixelation.
I mean, because I've seen so much to the contrary of that. Like, like,
Again, it could be this is Japanese culture is actually changing. It
well,
is getting more westernized all the time.
so the thing is that it's kind of difficult because I mean, I don't know all the rules or how it works, but like one of my favorite animes to talk about with this kind of stuff because the anime is a masterpiece. Like for anybody who enjoys a really good quote unquote booby anime, highly recommend to go and watch it because it's like ignoring the fact that it's a booby anime, it's an actually good story. It's a great goddamn anime. Is High School DXD.
Did
There
they
is an anime.
use Did they use the power of friendship to kill God?
I vaguely recall that may have been a thing.
Yes, I love anime tropes. Use the
well,
power of
because
friendship
it's
to
about
kill him.
like it's about like demons and stuff, kind of, sorta. But it's a booby anime, so like, you know, the girls' clothes get torn up, and you see bare fresh nipple action, like in like every episode. Every goddamn episode, you're gonna get some hot, sexy, nipply booby action in High School DxD, and the show is a really good show. Like, it's actually like, it's like, yeah, like it's like the, like, kind of like watching like Game of Thrones, where it's like after a while you're just used to seeing all the floppy cocks, you know,
Right.
like because you're there, like
Your
it's like,
wiener,
oh, there is
your
some
ween.
sex. Yeah, there is some sex in you know, that show, but you're still there for the story, you know, like, just like, it's always the classic thing of like, well, I could just go and watch porn. You know, if I was 100% just here only for the sex, I could just go and watch a goddamn pornography. But the thing is like, with stories like High School DxD, it's a great story. Like, the plot is great. The characters are interesting and deep. Like, you're invested in the main character. You're invested in, you know, the different ladies involved in the story. Not all of the ladies are wonderful, but most of them are. And watching him like fight the dudes, like, there's a lot of action, and the fight scenes are great, and you know, boobies. So like, and but that's not the only anime that I've seen like that either. Like, there was one that I was talking about a while ago. I never finished it, or I did, and I just don't remember it very well, if it did end. But there was one that was called, I think it was called like Harem at the End of the Earth or something like that. And that was a booby anime that, like, where it was like bare nipples, straight up bare booby nipples, and that was like literally a few months ago, I think, where they were releasing that one. And but the story was really good. Like, it was a genuinely fascinating story about, you know, the whole thing was, it was about like, the last men on Earth, but like women still existed, and they had built this whole, like, you know, matriarchy system or whatever. And it was kind of interesting watching like all of the, because it was kind of a dystopian story, like about like, where it was like the whole society was run by women, but it was also a really like messed up society. Like, women were not, like, I mean, it wasn't necessarily that men were running it better, but like women doing it by themselves were making this really like messed up system, where it was like all sorts of conspiracies and lots of like messed up like crime rates and stuff like that, and poverty, and it was really interesting. It was a really interesting story. um and then there was this whole thing, this whole side story about like clones and stuff like that. It was really good. But the overall point is that like they don't automatically censor nipples. So like, when I see like
Okay,
this one.
so I'm I have a question then,
Yeah.
because I've seen where they allow nipples.
Yeah.
Are the nipples part of the scene, or are the nipples the character in the scene? Like, if like, let's say there's a panning shot and you're like, oh, bare breast,
Hmm.
that's not going to get censored because it's not on the screen, typically not on the screen long enough for it to get censored. But if it's like, camera goes, shirt goes explodey, camera goes fixate.
There's long pans in the show, if that's what you're asking.
Yeah. See, the thing is, a pan across a sea full of exposed breasts is
Yeah.
completely different than a solo shot of the chest of a naked woman in in Japanese censors' eyes. Because at that point, you're sexualizing the woman and not just having a naked woman there for whatever purpose.
Are you
If you
trying to
if you are
say? Are you trying to
If you're
say that
if
the
you're
only way it would need to be censored is if if it was just a solo shot of like a naked woman for like 5 minutes on the screen? Is that what you're trying to say? That would
yeah, if
require
it yeah
censorship?
yeah I think that's kind of like the line where some of these movie animes get away with it. If it's like if the nipple is not the character in any particular scene, then it's fine. The second like the camera seems to be like those boobs are talking at us, then that's
I
when the
don't
pixelation happens.
I don't think that's how it works. Like I don't because like I'm trying to like the problem is like this is great. I'm glad we're having this conversation because this is giving me an excuse to rewatch the entire series of High School DXD.
I mean,
Just to give myself a refresher
I
course.
I aim to please, but going off of my memory
Yeah,
of like every anime I've watched, and I've seen some animes that have exposed breasts
sure.
that didn't instantly have the nipples that didn't have the nipples pixelated. But most of those shots, there happened to be exposed breasts, and the exposed breast was not the sole was not a main focus of the shot.
Well, I mean, a lot of the time it's like what'll usually happen from like in DXD, what would frequently happen is they're in a fight and their clothes get ripped up and then they're standing there giving dialogue. So like they're standing there and they're basically nude, like at least exposed breasts anyways. But they're giving dialogue. So I mean, are you saying that it's okay because they're standing there giving dialogue, therefore they're not like it's not the breasts that are the focus? Are you trying to say that it's because it's not being sexualized? It's just I'm a character in a fight providing dialogue not within a specifically sexual manner, therefore it's justified to have this
Yeah,
scene where my breasts are exposed. Is that
yeah,
like the
yeah.
implication?
I think that's kind of where the implication is.
Okay, and that also kind of makes sense when you're mentioning the whole penetration thing from before, because that's specifically within sexual context. So you're saying that you believe, which you might be right. I don't know. I'd be curious to actually look a little
The
deeper
problem
into
is
this.
the problem is if there's a solo shot of a woman and she's delivering a monologue, but she's naked and honestly you can see the nipple, they will blur the nipple, but they will not blur her penis. If you're watching, if you're watching a Fuda and and a woman is monologuing to the virtual camera and she's naked, her nipples will get blurred, her penis will not.
That sounds totally ass backwards.
Man, Japanese people are weird.
I have no idea. Like, I can tell that you're deriving this from something very specific that you have seen. I can't say that I relate in any way whatsoever,
Well,
but I
no,
can totally imagine your confusion
this
after
is
seeing something like that.
this is years of experience. I've never seen a Fuda porn where
Uh-huh.
where your hermaphrodite is monologuing to the camera and her ramrod is protruding. Because typically,
Oh.
in those kinds of animes that I watch, um,
Uh-huh.
your dick chick is magical, and the penis doesn't come out until she's aroused and about to have the sexy time.
Right.
Um,
Oh man. Well, okay. So, damn. Well, I think of another part of it too that might be kind of interesting. Like, I don't know if it would give any particular substantial evidence, for your point against or for it. Um, but I think I'd be curious to know what year that this was made in. Like, so it sounds like you're talking because you said not distinctly a pornographic film. So I assume that you're probably talking about a video game, right? Am I
No, no,
correct?
I'm talking about um not necessarily.
Are you talking about Doujinshi? Like a
Yes,
Doujin?
yeah,
Okay.
not necessarily a porn, but you know,
You're talking about Doujin.
occasionally,
Yeah.
yeah, but
Yeah.
occasionally pornographic things happen.
Okay.
Now,
Okay.
granted, this is back in the early 2000s,
Okay. So you kind of
where
have
most of the examples from my hands go. And as I said, Japanese culture has been shifting westward.
um I can definitely say now, I mean, I'm not going to beat around the bush on this one. I I mean, I've read some Doujins and some of them I've enjoyed. But a lot of them are a lot more recent, like within the last I don't know, like 5 years or so recent. And there is, considering that they are specifically pornographic, um some of them can be fairly censored, some of them cannot be fairly censored. It kind of depends on, it has a lot to do with distribution. So like, for example, the ones that I know for a fact that are being distributed both online as well as in paper form within the country of their origin, which is usually Japan, those ones get censored. However, if the ones that I've seen some where they're only distributed online, despite the fact that they are Japanese origin, and sometimes those ones end up not being censored. Now they do have like a rule in Japan about censorship of pornography where like I do know the insertion thing which you mentioned before, but also a part of it is that like you can't, if I remember correctly, it's like you can't like show a clitoris. So like they usually will put like a little black bar like right over the clitoris. And there's also like a part of the tip of the penis that they're not allowed to show. So like they'll put like a little bar over that one part of the tip of the penis, and then that's enough censorship, and then they can show whatever. So um but I think that the internet has allowed it to become more relaxed, and whether or not it is being distributed for payment also depends on how much it gets censorship or not at all. So, like I said, like if it's distributed in a paper form, like as actual, Doujin books, then it must be censored by law in Japan. And if it's if it's just distributed online, then usually they can get away with it a little bit more. And a lot of the time, it's also that they'll distribute it for free, but they'll have like something like, for example, a Patreon, where it's like, I can distribute this for free and it's not being, because it's not being paid for, it doesn't need to be censored. And therefore, I can take donations for my work through like a Patreon or something like that. I think that's how it works. Um, and then there are some that are just like super, super like careful. Like they just don't want to get in trouble whatsoever. So even though they don't have to censor it, they'll do it anyways. So, but I do think that it has gotten more relaxed as time has gone on. So like it doesn't surprise me when you tell me that the ones that you have are much older and therefore the censorship is a little bit more intense. Now, I can also definitely tell you that all the Doujins that I am aware of, that I, have enjoyed in the past, um, nipples are not censored in any of them, like at all. So that could be like a thing that is like old and out of date, you
Could
know?
be,
So,
could be,
it,
and I'd be willing to, and I would be willing to be the first person to admit that I am. I anime is definitely a young man's game. There's just so
Um,
much. There's just so much to keep track of. Because the Japanese people are nothing if not prolific.
yeah, yes, indeed.
So just I end up getting witchered anytime I try to dive into like anime. So I most of the time just don't bother.
Do you want me to recommend you like a Doujin site so you can update?
No,
Okay, all right.
like
Cuz I,
I I mean maybe I don't know.
this will be a deeper conversation off mic, I'm sure. But
I mean it's just I mean make suggestions. I'll follow them. I don't know
no.
how deeply I'll follow them, but
All right, man.
you
All
know
right.
I'm just telling you, you make the suggestion, I might follow it, probably not deeply follow it, and then the follow up conversation is almost certainly going to make me look like a dick.
Okay. I mean, because I may or may not know of a site that is somewhat like a Google for Doujin, so that I'm not implying that I use on a regular basis, but I am aware of its existence. So yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, man. Um, but yeah, I mean, I just don't think that the censorship of nipples is really much of a thing much anymore, even in Japan, which, I can understand. And like, I mean, when I think about it, and I know that we have a very specific listener who actually probably has a lot of knowledge about this one specifically, more than I do, which is one of the animes that really paved the way for some of this stuff is Queen's Blade. Have you ever heard of Queen's Blade?
no,
No. Um, Queen's Blade is a relatively old. I think it goes all the way back to the 90s. Booby anime where it's like a bunch of like badass anime ladies who essentially beat the crap out of each other and lots of big bouncing exposed boobies just all over the screen all the time. Um and I mean obviously you're not going to get any full nudes out of them, but if you're into watching like if you're into watching like just really super sexy anime ladies just beating the crap out of each other and showing boobies on the screen all the time, that's Queen's Blade. And I think that's as far back as the 90s, I think. I'd have to look it up. Um I'm gonna look it up on Google real quick. Release date. Let's see what it says. Oh, that's sooner than I thought. Okay, so not as old as I thought. So apparently the original books were 2005 and then the original anime series was 2009 it looks like. Yeah, 2009. Okay, so that's a little bit more soon than I thought. I thought it was as far back as the 90s, but it's not. Um that's interesting. I didn't know that. I watched a little bit of Queen's Blade. I was not the biggest fan of it, but it was our listener who the listener that I was mentioning. I don't know if he wants me to say his name when in relation to Queen's Blade specifically, but he basically was like, "Bro, watch Queen's Blade," and I'm like, "All right, I'll try it out. We'll see what happens." So, um, but yeah, it's basically like Mortal Kombat with like only sexy women and their tops get torn off. So if you're into that, um, yeah. Um, I also remember there was one that I found out was going to get a series that I used to read as a young teenager. I think it was called like Battle Vixens. I think. Let me see if that's a thing. If that was what it was, and they're going to get like a new anime serial or something like that. That was another uh, booby series. Yeah, Battle Vixens, Ikitosen. Yes, that's what it was. Ikitosen, Battle Vixens. Yes, that was actually the very first booby manga that I ever read. Where like basically like I was a young teenager, like I was like in middle school, and I was like really into manga, and I had like a friend who was also into manga, and he comes up, he's like, it was like my birthday, and we were both manga fans, and he's like, "Hey, bro, I got you a birthday present, but I uh, I can't give it to you in front of your parents." And I was like, "All right, man, yeah, sure." He's like, "Okay, check this one out." And he handed me like volume one of Battle Vixens, Ikitosen. And I was like, all right, I'm kind of down. I read through it and I'm like, oh my God, there's boobies everywhere. So, yeah, man. Changed my life. Ikitosen changed my life, man. But yeah, I mean, I could recommend you some stuff, maybe. We'll see. I feel like I wanna transform you into an anime nerd. I want this to happen. Is that ever gonna happen, Mr. Lettuce?
I mean, weirder shit has happened.
All right.
I'm a father again. I'm a father to a teenage girl now. So
Yeah. Well, I mean, like, I can always recommend you some like stuff that you can watch with your kids as well. Like, it doesn't have to be all high school DXD boobies flying all over the place. It doesn't have to be that way. um, I mean, I don't know. There were some that I grew up with as a kid that I was a big fan of, and I mean, you've shared some with me. Like you shared with me Golden Boy, which I'd never seen until you introduced it to me. So.
yeah, that's you know,
Yeah.
a fairly old OVA that I came across, and I was like, this is like Porky's if it was Weeby.
Dude, Motorcycle Girl's best girl.
Yeah,
Hmm. Which one was your favorite in that series? Did you have a favorite girl? Because there was like supermodel business programmer lady. There was,
I didn't really like her.
yeah, I wasn't the biggest fan of her
Like
either.
the president's daughter.
Yeah, the psycho, right? The psycho girl.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah, she was a good one too.
yeah,
Um, it was like the daughter of like the mayor who was like wrapped up in like the yakuza or whatever. She was crazy, but she was definitely an interesting character.
yeah.
Um, Bike Girl was my favorite. What were the other
I
ones?
think everybody likes Bike Girl only because she's the one that kind of gets the most characterization because
Yeah,
she's also the only girl that's really in multiple episodes.
yeah, it's true. Then there was the girl that worked at the restaurant who was like the girl next door character who was like wrapped up with like the guy who was like a skeezy scam artist or whatever. I'm trying to remember all of them. It's difficult. Uh those are all the ones that I can remember at the moment. Yeah.
Yeah,
I can't remember them all. It's just Biker Girl is just she leaves such a amazing impression. She was the most like outstanding, like wild ass woman I've ever seen in any anime ever. Like,
yeah. She's. I mean, it was a very well written anime.
yeah, it was a lot of. I mean,
I mean,
toilet licking aside. Um,
it was a very very well written anime for given the fact that it was basically the anime equivalency of Porky's basically.
Kinda, yeah. Yeah, man. Um,
Uh, so to change subjects a little bit,
yeah, it's fine.
uh,
I was getting tired of talking about anime, anyways.
yeah, um, apparently there's a rumored Nintendo Direct that's going to happen. That's going to happen in about a week or so.
Oh, okay.
And apparently, in that Direct, they're going to announce they're releasing the HD ports for Wind Waker and Twilight Princess on the Switch.
Didn't they already do like an HD remastering of Wind Waker not that long ago?
Yeah, but it was Wii U.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, both Twilight Princess and Wind Waker got Wii U updates,
Right.
got HD updates on the Wii U.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but and I have a theory here, and I'm gonna laugh when this is correct. Uh, Currently, Breath of the Wild 2 is slated for um, early 2023.
Okay.
Um,
Do you think
there's
they're
no
going to
way.
stick to that?
No, there's no way in hell they make. There's no way in hell they make that.
Okay, that's what I was thinking too. I was like, I don't
There's
know.
so instead of giving us Breath of the Wild 2, they're going to show a little bit of. They're going to show a very small vertical slice of Breath of the Wild 2.
Okay.
Say, pleased to be excited for when we can show more. Oh, by the way, no, this isn't coming in spring 2023 anymore. As a matter of fact, we don't know when this is happening, when this is
Yeah.
coming.
They should just stop
We're,
talking about it. Like honestly, in my opinion, they should have never even announced that they were working on it.
okay, Ian, you're somewhat wrong. If there wasn't a global silicon shortage, we would already have the replacement. We would already have the second Switch in our hands.
Mm.
That game was always either going to be very close to the replacement of the next iteration of the Switch, or the replacement iteration of the Switch, or it was going to be a launch title for that hardware.
Hmm. Okay. I don't know. Whatever.
And every time that they've every time that they've mentioned it or they've announced it, they believed that they were close to having new hardware.
Hmm.
I 100% do not believe we'll see, given the fact that we're actually entering, muddling through a global recession,
Right.
and while the silicon shortage might be over enough to cover releasing new like a whole new a whole new platform,
Right.
no one's going to be able to buy it because we're in the middle of a recession. Um, I think what's going to end up happening is the next Switch is coming out probably April, May 2024 at this point.
Right.
Breath is being designed for that hardware because there is no way in fucking hell current hardware is going to support all the things that they're saying are going to be in that game. So what we're going to end up getting is in a week or two, we're probably going to get a Zelda blowout that's going to be a release window of games
Mm-hmm.
that's at least 15 months long. And it's going to include the the ports of the Wii U HD remakes for Twilight Princess and Wind Waker. And I'll go on the record saying now that I will 100% happily buy a Wind Waker HD on the Switch.
How
Just
many times have
100%
you how many times have you played Wind Waker?
to completion.
I mean, not necessarily. I mean, at least have gotten maybe I don't know, like 5 or 6 hours in, I guess.
For Wind Waker.
Sure. Because I mean, like, how many times have you like bought it or just chosen to like replay it just because you enjoyed it so much? Just out of curiosity.
Okay, so if we're going to count illegally downloading it to play it on my computer,
Well, I mean,
as
hold on. Do you own the? Do you physically own the game? Have you bought a copy of it before at full price?
yeah,
Then
twice.
it's not illegal if you're downloading it.
Okay.
That's just how it works. Legitimately,
Yeah,
you're
yeah, no.
like,
So I bought I bought the GameCube at launch, the
yeah,
GameCube version at launch,
yeah.
because it came with because the pre-release bonus for that was the collector's edition that had Ocarina of Time Master Quest, uh, a Majora's Mask, and Zelda 1 and 2
Okay, that's cool.
On a GameCube disc.
Right.
So pre bought that just so that I could get that bonus. Um, and then 100% bought it for the Wii U when it came out on Wii U.
There you go. Yeah.
And I will 100% buy Wind Waker on the Switch when it comes out on the Switch.
Right.
My dryer, which has Wi-Fi access, if Wind Waker gets released on my dryer, by God, I'm playing Wind Waker on my dryer. Wind Waker is easily my favorite Zelda game.
The newest the newest console from Nintendo will be called the Wii Washer. It's you can wash your clothes and play Wii on it at the same time.
Yeah. But anyway, so I don't think two remakes give you a full year's worth of like Zelda content.
Right.
I am going to speculate that Sakura Masurai, the guy who makes Smash and
Mm-hmm.
Kirby, is going to be put in charge of a project that's basically going to be redo Ocarina of Time in the Breath of the Wild engine.
That would be really interesting, actually.
I think that is my hot take pie in the sky prediction. Is there going to be yeah we can give you Wind Waker and then 3 months later we'll give you Twilight Princess, but late like early summer 2023
Uh-huh.
where you're gonna get to play a full like HD remastering and like reimaging, basically like the Final Fantasy VII remake, but only it's Ocarina of Time,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
and they're gonna get Sakura Matsurai to do it.
That'd be really interesting. I mean, it's kind of like one of the things that a lot of people like say when it comes to like Ocarina of Time. And I mean, I've never beaten Ocarina of Time. I've played it a little bit, but I've never beaten it. I was never really a big fan, but I understand like that it's a good game. Um, is that like the game itself is good and it's fun, but those graphics just don't stand the test of time. So I
No,
mean,
they
it would
don't.
be yeah, it would be really
It,
interesting to see like that that great game with its great gameplay ported over to being higher quality graphics and just a better looking like game in general. With the current technology of the Switch or whatever,
yeah,
it deserves it.
they make it they make it Unreal Engine 5.
Train
They
station.
yeah, but so that's my thing is we're gonna get like an Unreal Engine 5 version of Ocarina of Time that actually kind of uses bits and pieces um off of the Breath of the Wild engine.
Yeah, that'd be
Like
interesting.
yeah, so like maybe not as far as weapon degradation,
Mhm.
but you know
I mean,
redo the invent.
they don't need to really change the gameplay. They might need to change like some of the like mechanics and physics just a little bit, But they
Yeah,
don't need
no,
to change the gameplay. They just need to change the graphics.
no, but what if the Hyrule field in the middle of Ocarina of Time
Mm-hmm.
was bigger
I mean, maybe.
and had more because one of the things that was always kind of, especially
Well,
now, that kind of stands out to you is the fact that Hyrule Field is such a small room with
yeah, but
like five exits on it.
so I've watched some playthroughs of Ocarina of Time. And one of the most common things that I remember seeing from watching those playthroughs is people switching into the what is it? The little, it's not Skull Kid. It's the mask that looks makes them look like a little tree person. Um I can't think of the name of it, but it's the mask that turns them into like a little tiny like plant kid. And they would put, oh wait, I'm thinking of Majora's Mask.
Yeah, you think Majora's Mask.
My bad. My only point was that like
That Hyrule Field's a little bigger.
yeah, well because I was mistaking Ocarina for Majora's Mask. That's my bad. I was thinking that the whole thing was that they would do that because that map was so big that they would switch into that mask just to cross the map because it took so long. So, but
Yeah,
I mean, I
no,
don't know.
no.
Maybe I don't remember the map of Hyrule in Ocarina of Time very well, and maybe it is smaller. So I don't know.
It it's small, not a lot to do in it,
Right.
but maybe that's something where they can expand on the game a little bit. But
Possible.
I'm excited. So sometime this week, Nintendo's going to have a direct, and it's been rumored that at the very least they're gonna say, "Hey, here's these two Zelda ports for the Switch,
Hmm.
leading up to Breath of the Wild 2." My thing is um, they're gonna be like, "Hey, yeah, no, we can show you this little bit of Breath of the Wild 2, but also um, we're not going to be able to hit uh, spring 2023 at all."
Yeah.
And then they're going to be like, "So instead of giving you Breath of the Wild 2, here's two remakes."
Right. Well, I mean, I think people will be satisfied if they get those two remakes. Like, obviously, that's something you're looking forward to. So,
Oh yeah,
um,
no, and actually Xavier has discovered Twilight Princess, and he really likes Twilight Princess.
that game is hard. I never
That
beat
game,
Twilight Princess.
the controls messed that game up. If you play it on the GameCube, it's a lot easier.
Yeah. I never beat it. I gave up. I'm not a Zelda game guy. I'm not much of a Zelda game person. I've never been really into it, and like all my memories of playing Zelda games, I usually get stuck. I've only ever beaten one Zelda game in my entire life. So, um Phantom
And
Hourglass.
next week, Core Keeper gets an update.
Neat. I think I remember seeing updates about it on Steam.
Yeah, it's a cosmetic update. You get to have more cosmetic stuffs to decorate your home with.
Cool. Core Keeper episode. Sounds good, man.
Yeah, awesome.
Well, I think we should probably wrap it up. I mean, I know you've got stuff to do tomorrow and you got to get up
Yeah,
early, and I
yeah, I've got to
actually
be up.
have yeah, I actually do have to get up early tomorrow too. My little puppy, he has a dental appointment tomorrow very early in the morning, so both me and Lettuce have to get going so that we can be ready to do what we got to do tomorrow. So, we're going to wrap this one up a little bit early for you guys. We hope you don't mind, but yeah, man. Anything you want to say before I properly wrap this up, Mr. Lettuce, now that you're back and freeballing it with the rest of us?
No, man, it's good to be back. Sorry, I have been gone. Um, it was necessary. I think I'll be in a better place mentally, physically, emotionally. Um, from here on out. So this move was a beneficial thing. It's just the past 3 weeks I couldn't do anything.
No worries, man. I get it. Busy stuff going on in your life. It happens to the best of us, homie. So it's totally no worries. I know that our audience understands. So, oh, well, I'm just throwing
Well,
shit everywhere now.
I mean, a seventh of that audience is living with me right now.
Seventh. I mean, I don't know, I guess. All right. Well, thank you so much for coming back and being a part of this. I'm glad to have you back, Mr. Lettuce.
I know I'm not nearly as sexy as Cinder, but
that's okay. He's locked in my basement. You don't have to worry about him. I mean, moving on. Anyways, I don't have a basement, and if I did, Cinder Shadow is definitely not tied up in ropes hanging upside down in said basement, because that's definitely not a thing. But anyways, thank you guys all so much for being here. We greatly appreciate it. Wonderful shout out to the amazing Patreon members. You all know who you are, and we really appreciate all the wonderful donations you guys make to us. And check in the description below for all the wonderful links, PayPal, Streamlabs, like, comment, subscribe, all those wonderful things. And I think I've said my piece on the majority of the stuff I normally say, but it's been a while. But anyways, other than that, guys, we have been, once again, reunited, the Imaginary Boys. Good night, everybody.
I am not dead.
He's not.